Happy Friday. Again, I believe this weekend's going to be nice and hot, so I hope you all have a lot of things planned and I hope you all are staying safe and healthy still during this pandemic. So I did send out a copy of the presentation to everyone late evening yesterday. So hopefully you'll have those to where you can follow along as well. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about understanding error corrections. So when we talk about error corrections, we're talking about errors that the SEBB organization made, not the employee. So all these errors that we're going to be talking about today are errors that the BA or that SEBB organization made that affected that employee. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are the different types of errors that are identified in policy 11-3. And also the error correction process, which is really important to follow along this error correction process. And then we're going to provide you with different scenarios with all the different types of errors that we're going to cover today. And some may or may not be real things that have happened out there in one of the SEBB organizations. And as usual, we're going to provide you with reminders, tips, and resources to help you in your position as a benefit administrator. So some of the references and resources we're going to use are the Administrative Policy 11-3, which covers correcting SEBB organizations and contracted vendor enrollment errors. So when we talk about contracted vendors, we're talking about those organizations that are contracted with the healthcare authority to provide services to school employees, such as Navia, Standard, MetLife, Davis Vision, Willamette, and all those other ones. So those are our contracted vendors that have contract with the healthcare authority to provide services to school districts, school employees. And then the WAC that covers error corrections is WAC 18230-060. And that's how do school employees or school organizations and contracted vendors correct these enrollment errors. So when it comes to terminations, we're also going to be using this Administrative Policy 19-1 that covers termination due to loss of eligibility or enrollment error. And then the Addendum 19-1, termination due to loss of eligibility or enrollment error, which talks about employees and dependents of employees. So what are the different types of errors that are identified in this policy 11-3? So SEBB organizations must correct these errors if they fail to notify an employee of their eligibility. So an example of this would probably be a SEBB organization that did not notify the employee of their eligibility for SEBB benefits within that reasonable time frame of 31 days of the date of eligibility. Failure to accurately enroll a employee or their dependents. An example of this would be maybe the employer did not enter the enrollment correctly. The employee dropped off the form and maybe they entered the wrong plan. They didn't enroll the dependents, or they enrolled their spouse in medical when the employee did not want their spouse to be enrolled in medical. Something like that would fall under this error. And then failure to enroll default coverage. So an example of this would probably be eligibility notice went out to the employee, but the employee failed to submit enrollment forms or failed to go online on SEBB My Account and enroll. In turn, the employer did not enroll the account timely. So probably the employer didn't even put the employee into SEBB My Account, so the employee had no opportunity to make their elections. And then failure to timely enroll in supplemental insurance. So maybe the employer did not enroll supplemental insurance for that employee. They dropped off the form that they requested supplemental coverage, which created premiums owed or an evidence of insurability. So a lot of these are when that employee drops off the form and the school district either got lost in the paper shuffle or couldn't find the form or failed and forgot to do the action by enrolling them in SEBB My Account. So again, we highly encourage benefit administrators to tell their employees to use SEBB My Account and try not to submit the forms if possible. So next one is failure to accurately reflect surcharge status. Again, maybe the employee dropped off their enrollment form and the BA failed to reflect surcharge status. Maybe the employee said no and the BA didn't do anything and left it to the default, which is yes, and the employee ended up being charged the tobacco surcharge or something like that. And then fail to terminate timely. And at the end of the year, again, those employees that are not eligible for SEBB benefits, as of August 31st, you should be terminating them in SEBB My Account and stopping their SEBB benefits. So maybe a BA failed to terminate an employee and they continued to receive benefits. And then the last one is failure to provide accurate information to where the employee relied upon. And that's providing information to that employee that was incorrect and the employee relied upon it, and that's where the error happened. And again, we ask that you refer to this WAC 182-3060 and the Administrative Policy 11-3, which covers error correction. So let's talk about the error correction processes, which is really important. So many steps to follow if you do discover an error that you as a BA made. So the first step would be to notify outreach and training of the error using Fuse. Let us know that, hey, it's been a couple of months and we forgot to enroll an employee. We just realized that. And again, work with outreach and training to provide a written notice or correction letter to the school employee and provide recourse as appropriate. So work with outreach and training if you do discover that you made an error. Work with us to correct this error for the employee. So we talk about providing recourse. What is recourse? So recourse is defined as actions that can be implemented to make that employee whole again. So employees should be put into a position they would have been in had the employer not made that enrollment error. So what might be a couple of the options for recourse? So these are the recourse options that are available, and they may include retroactive enrollment into a SEBB health plan, reimbursement of claims already paid by the employee, or reimbursement of amounts paid by the employee or the dependent for medical, dental, vision, premiums, or other legal remedy received or offered, and then other recourse as long as that's approved by the healthcare authority. Recourse must not contradict a specific provision of federal law or statute that does not apply to requests for non-covered services or in the case of an individual who is not eligible for SEBB benefits. So SEBB organizations must determine the best recourse option for that employee and their unique situation. And we talked about the different recourse options in a previous slide. So as a benefit administrator, you must determine what is the best recourse option for this employee. Once you've done that, you want to document and provide a copy of the correction/recourse letter to outreach and training for approval. So the recourse solution may not be applied or implemented until it's been approved by the SEBB program. So once it's approved by the SEBB program, the letter is now sent to the employee containing an explanation of the error, the recourse or corrective action that the employer is going to take, and then options that are available to that employee recourse. The employee must acknowledge the agreed upon recourse solution by completing and returning the letter or responding to an email outlining how the employee would like the account to be corrected. And we're going to show you these notice of eligibility in a minute here, what they look like and what they contain. So again, that employee must acknowledge the agreed upon recourse solution. And then provide that signed copy of the approved recourse solution to the employee and a copy to outreach and training. So once the SEBB program receives that signed copy of the recourse solution, the SEBB org may enter that information into SEBB My Account if the effective date is within the lower limit date. And if it's outside of that lower limit date, then you must send a fuse to outreach and training to enter that information into SEBB My Account for you. SEBB My Account will not let BAs enter information that's beyond the lower limit. Doesn't allow you access. So this is the 2020 lower limit and current process month calendar. It's separated into 4 different columns. And again, you can find this on the BA website under Quick Reference Guide, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and click on the link Lower Limit and Current Process Month Calendar. So BAs may make changes as a correction within the lower limit date. So the current process month that you see highlighted in the yellow box there is a specific period for which insurance system runs billing. And basically this column right here, this column is the date that you're actually going to enter information into SEBB My Account. It could be today if you're going to enter that information. And I'm going to go over an example in just a minute. So the next column over is the lower limit date. It's basically 3 calendar months prior to the current process month. And it's the furthest back coverage may be retro terminated. And you can reference that in policy 19-1 and 19-1A. And as you notice the lower limit dates are all end of the month dates. So here's an example. Today is August 14th, so we would look at the process month date range, and we fall into August 14th. So BAs can go back as far as May 31st to make corrections in SEBB My Account. Anything beyond May 31st, you must send outreach and training a fuse to make the correction in SEBB My Account. So let's say this BA waited until August 15th, which is the next column down. They now have only until July 30th to make that correction. Anything beyond July 30th, you must send outreach and training a fuse to make the correction. Again, once it's been approved by outreach and training, if it's within the lower limit date, as a BA, you can make those changes. And there's the link down there. So employees who disagree with the recourse decision that was made by the SEBB org and the SEBB program may submit an appeal within 30 days by following the appeal process. And you can find the appeal process on the BA website. So what might be some of the common errors that we're seeing in the SEBB program? So these are the top 3 error corrections that we're seeing. Is a SEBB organization failed to notify an employee of eligibility for SEBB benefits. Another one is the SEBB org failed to accurately enroll the employee, their dependents, or in the correct plan. And then the last one is that they failed to enroll default coverage for the employee. Now, if an employee is put into SEBB My Account and they don't make any elections within that 31-day enrollment period, on day 32, they will be automatically defaulted. So this is an example of the notice of eligibility, and these will be available on the BA website soon. And it's separated into 4 different sections here. At the top, again, this is tailored towards your school district. This is just an example, a template. And at the top, you're going to have your district letterhead. And in the top portion of the first page, it's been an explanation of the error that the SEBB org made and the corrective action that the employer will take to make that employee whole. On the bottom section is the recourse options that are available to that employee. And we talked about the recourse options that are available. And again, these are different situations. They might not get all the recourse options. There might be 1 or 2 that are available depending on the situation. All these letters will not be identical. It depends on the employee's unique situation. And on page 2, on the top half is the enrollment options available. The employee must check one of the boxes on what they want. I request the following recourse, or I agree with the enrollment in the SEBB program benefits, and so on. And then the bottom half of this notice of eligibility is the employee acknowledgement and the employee's requiring the employee's signature and the date that the employee signed. So that is the notice of eligibility. And again, work with outreach and training before sending this to the employee. So this is a notice of termination. Possibly the SEBB org failed to terminate an employee and they continue to receive benefits. The top half of the letter is, again, the explanation of error. It was discovered that you became ineligible for SEBB benefits on this date, and we failed to end coverage timely. And the bottom half are, again, recourse options that are available to that employee. On the second page, it's employee confirmation. I request the following recourse, has dates in there to and from. And the very bottom of that second page, again, is the employee acknowledgement, showing their signature and the date that they signed. And again, these sample letters will be available on the BA website very soon. So we're going to get into a few scenarios here. As we go through, you can refer to WAC 18230. Again, that covers SEBB organization and contracted vendors correct enrollment errors. So this first scenario is about failure to notify an employee of eligibility. So Baker School District failed to notify a newly hired eligible school employee that they're eligible for SEBB benefits on July 1st. The employee was notified of their eligibility on July 25th during their initial 31-day election window. So the benefit administrator realized 25 days later, hey, we forgot to tell this person that they're eligible for benefits. So they're still within that 31-day election window. When did the employee's initial enrollment period end?
Wouldn't that be, so it'd be after the 31-day enrollment period, so it'd be August 1st?
Yeah, August 1st. So they're eligible for benefits on July 1st. 31 days later is August 1st. Correct. Thanks, Sarah. So how many days will that employee now be offered to elect benefits beginning July 25th?
So since it was during their initial 31-day election period that this error was noticed, they would be offered at least 10 days, right?
At least 10 days. At least 10 days. So you want to give that, I mean, if you tell the employee, hey, July 30th, hey, you're eligible for benefits, you have a day or two to elect your benefits, that's not fair to the employee. So the policy 11-1 talks about at least 10-day enrollment period. And again, refer to this policy I just mentioned. Reminder those employees that fail to return requirement enrollment forms within that new enrollment period must be defaulted. So if you give them an additional at least 10 days and they still don't do anything, they must be defaulted in SEBB My Account. So here's another scenario that talks about past the lower limit date. So this is a failure to notify of eligibility. So on June 24th, Baker School District notified outreach and training through Fuse of a failure to notify a school employee of eligibility for SEBB benefits on February 20th, with coverage effective March 1st. They just realized this mistake on June 24th. So the recourse for this would be that the school district would send outreach and training a draft letter of notice to be approved. Outreach and training would approve the letter to send to the employee. The school district would send the employee the letter to select the desired recourse solution, and then the employee would complete and return that letter to their benefit administrator. The school district would then provide a signed copy of the letter to the employee and also send a signed copy of the letter and the enrollment form to outreach and training, since it's outside of that lower limit date for retroactive enrollment. So this employee requested retroactive enrollment instead of going forward for SEBB benefits as elected by the employee. Outreach and training corrects the account by retroactively enrolling the school employee in SEBB benefits as of March 1st, when should have been the effective date, but they didn't realize this till June. The employee is not responsible for any premiums for the period between March 1st and June 30th. They are only responsible for premiums once they are notified of their eligibility going forward. Here's another scenario: failure to accurately enroll an employee or their dependents. On June 27th, Orange County School District notified outreach and training through Fuse of a failure to enroll a school employee's dependent in SEBB benefits with coverage effective February 1st. So the school employee was already enrolled in SEBB benefits. They must have dropped off their enrollment form with the BA. The BA enrolled the school employee but failed to enroll that dependent. School district submits the employee's dependent enrollment form to outreach and training. Again, this is beyond the lower limit. So outreach and training informs the school district the error is beyond the lower limit date and must use the error correction process that we talked about earlier. The school district then sends outreach and training a draft letter of the notice for approval. Outreach and training approves that letter to send to the employee. The school district then sends the employee the letter to complete and return. And then the school district provides a signed copy of that letter to the employee. To include, they also send a signed copy of the letter and the dependent enrollment form to outreach and training for retroactive enrollment in SEBB benefits with an effective date of February 1st. Again, that employee is not responsible for dependent premiums through the month of February 1st to June 30th. This was an error that the school district made. So here's another scenario here: failure to enroll in default coverage. And again, if an employee is put into SEBB My Account and they don't do anything for 31 days, on day 32, they're going to be defaulted into the health plans. So on August 5th, Calhoun School District notified outreach and training through Fuse of a failure to default enroll an employee. The school district notified the employee that he was eligible for SEBB benefits on February 10th with coverage effective March 1st. The school district never entered this employee into SEBB My Account. So the employee failed to enroll within their 31-day enrollment period. Due to the employer failing to enter the employee in SEBB My Account, the employee was not default enrolled. Because the employer failed to put the employee into SEBB My Account, there's no way the employee could have made their elections anyways. They weren't in the system. So the corrective action for this would be that the school district sends outreach and training a draft letter of notice for approval. Outreach and training approves the letter to send to the employee. The school district then sends the employee the letter to select the desired recourse solution, complete, and return it back to the BA. The school district provides a signed copy of the letter to the employee and outreach and training. And then outreach and training corrects the account by enrolling that in-school employee in defaulted health plans and applying the $25 tobacco use surcharge with coverage effective September 1st as elected by the employee. So this employee elected to go forward and just have their health care benefits start on September 1st. Because the employee defaulted, it didn't do anything, the employee has the choice to elect the start date of coverage between March 1st and September 1st. They do not get the opportunity to select health plan coverage, which type of plans they want, because they defaulted. So in this scenario here, instead of retroactive coverage back to March 1st, that employee chose September 1st. There might be a situation where the employee wanted health benefits starting March 1st, and that opportunity is they can have their health care benefits start back at March 1st. Here's another scenario here. So failed to timely enroll in supplemental insurance. So on February 10th, an employee of Clay School District submitted their enrollment forms for supplemental LTD to their BA with coverage effective March 1st. On June 23rd, Clay School District realized that they failed to timely enroll an employee in supplemental LTD as elected by the employee. So this employee must have dropped off their forms, and the BA either lost the forms in a paper shuffle or whatever happened on the SEBB organization side, the employee did not get the elections on supplemental LTD that they elected. So the recourse would be for the school district to notify outreach and training of this error. The school district completes this long-term disability insurance correction form, and then the school district provides a copy of this form to the employee, files a copy of the supporting documents in the employee's record. They also send the original form to outreach and training through Fuse. Outreach and training will retroactively enroll this school employee in supplemental LTD with coverage effective March 1st. The school district will collect all applicable supplemental LTD premiums, and the employee is responsible for any back premium LTD or any back supplemental LTD premiums, because supplemental LTD is optional. If the employee does want supplemental LTD backdated, then they must pay those premiums. Any employee that disagrees may submit an appeal within 30 days by following the appeal process in accordance with WAC 18232. Hope I'm not going too fast for everyone. All right, here's another scenario: failure to reflect surcharge status. So on January 1st, a school employee attested no to their spouse's tobacco surcharge and submitted their enrollment forms to the BA. On April 24th, DeSoto School District realized that they failed to reflect the correct surcharges as attested by the school employee on the enrollment form. The employer will provide notice to the employee that their attestation will be corrected and the surcharge will be refunded back to the school district. It's up to the school district's payroll department to refund that employee. So recourse would be for the school district to send outreach and training a draft letter of the notice for approval. Outreach and training will approve that letter to send to the school employee. The school district sends employee letter to complete and return back to the BA. The school district will then provide a signed copy of the letter to the employee in outreach and training. And then outreach and training will accurately reflect the employee's premium surcharge attestation by correcting the error back to the date of the original attestation of January 1st, 2020. Here's another scenario: failure to terminate timely. So this is an interesting one. On February 5th, an employee from Columbia School District submitted their letter of resignation effective March 15th. On August 16th, the school district realizes that they failed to terminate the SEBB benefits for this employee, who has already resigned and is no longer an employee of the school district. So they're gone. We just realized this August 16th, the employee's been in the system and should have been terminated as of March 31st. So the recourse would be for the school district to notify outreach and training of the error using Fuse. School district sends outreach and training a draft letter of this notice for approval. Outreach and training approves that letter to be mailed to that employee. School district mails the employee the letter to complete and return to the BA. And in the letter, it says failure to respond within 31 days of this notice will automatically result in termination of coverage. The school district provides a signed copy of the letter to the employee in outreach and training, and then outreach and training will go into SEBB My Account and terminate coverage effective March 31st, 2020. And I believe this is the last scenario here. So this is a failure to provide accurate information that the employee relied upon. On February 15th, an employee of Harrison School District informs their BA that they wish to enroll their first newborn in SEBB benefits. The BA informs the employee to create an SOE event in SEBB My Account. The employee asks what valid documentation is required to add my newborn and the deadline to submit these forms. The BA informs the employee to provide a birth certificate within the next 6 months instead of saying 60 days. The employee waited 4 months to submit a birth certificate for their first newborn child as instructed by their BA. So they're given information that the employee relied upon. And then on August 17th, the employee realizes, hey, my first newborn has not been enrolled into SEBB benefits. So due to the BA providing inaccurate information that the employee relied upon, the enrollment will be allowed, and the newborn will be retroactively enrolled in SEBB benefits with coverage effective on the date of birth. Again, follow the error correction process by sending outreach and training a draft letter of notice to be approved. So a few reminders and tips and provide you with some resources. First reminder is to notify outreach and training of errors that the SEBB organization makes through using Fuse. Provide appropriate worksheets within a reasonable time as part of the hiring process when employees become eligible or they lose eligibility for SEBB benefits. Enter eligible employees in SEBB My Account as soon as you can. Encourage employees to use SEBB My Account versus submitting paper enrollment forms that might get lost on someone's desk or someone may forget to enter it into SEBB My Account. We've always encouraged employees to use SEBB My Account. And work with employees in outreach and training to make employees whole again. A Fuse tip, again, we ask that you include the employee's first name, last name, and their date of birth, their full social security number, and include the reason of the error. Give us as much information as possible so we don't have to go back and forth. What's the purpose? When's the date of eligibility? When is the effective date? So give us all that information up front. Choose the category based on the question or scenario, and then please send correction information using the same Fuse incident number. Correspondence should only contain one employee per incident. So if you've opened up a Fuse and we respond to it, you should be responding to that same Fuse and not opening a new Fuse. It's kind of like an email. Somebody sends sends you an email. You don't open up a new email. You reply to the email that they just sent you. So the history of the information is in that same email, or in this case, a Fuse. So Fuse messages do get auto-assigned to staff. Another resource, again, is that BA website. Has a lot of information on there to include where to find these worksheets. And our 1-800 number, if you have an urgent situation that's going on, call our 1-800 number, 700-1555. And then this Fuse secure messaging system allows you to send email messages, allows you to upload documents and receive replies from us. Register for Fuse if you haven't already got an account open. You can register here by clicking on Find Answers and then going to Register, create an account by registering for Fuse. There's the link on the bottom. You can go to the BA website, find answers, and then register. And for Gov deliveries, again, on our BA website, just click on notices and updates, and you'll see stay up to date for SEBB benefit information, register for Gov delivery. And those are messages that are going out to keep you updated on what's happening with the SEBB program. So we do have some upcoming webinar. We do have a upcoming webinar on August 28th. We're going to cover SEBB rules and any updates that have came out when it concerns with any rule changes. And you can register for this webinar as of today. The link is out there for you to go ahead and register on the BA website. And there's the link. All right, Sarah?
All right, thanks, Robert. Lots of great information.
I hope I didn't zip through that too quick.
No, I thought it was a good pace.
Okay.
But hopefully you guys found some key takeaways. Let's go over a few questions that were submitted. Let's see. So just a reminder that all policies and WACs that were covered in today's webinar are posted on the BA website under rules and policies. Let's see. Are BAs responsible for defaulting employees? So as long as an employee that is newly eligible has been added into SEBB account as they should be, the system is automatically going to be taking care of defaulting that employee. Therefore, there's no action from the BA. So just some clarification on that. Let's see. Did you mention that 11-1 states the minimum 10-day enrollment window? I don't see that on this policy. Also, where does it say that employees wouldn't be responsible for premiums from error correction? So that is actually some upcoming changes that are going to happen to these policies. So our next webinar on August 28th, here in 2 weeks, is actually going to be covering upcoming rules and policy changes. Policy 11-1 and 11-3 will be updated and posted on the BA website with a 9/1 effective date. So September 1st is when those will be effective. I noticed we had a few comments about some last minute changes that were made to the presentation, and they did not make it on the presentation that was sent out yesterday. Just a reminder that the updated presentation will be posted on the BA website likely early next week, so you'll be able to reprint or save it if you wish. Let's see. So for the scenario of failure to terminate timely, what happens if the employee does not sign and return the letter? Sometimes their phone number and addresses that were on file are no longer good. What do we do if they don't respond? So the biggest thing is to keep record that you sent this notice out as proof and just keep that in their file. And then if they fail to respond within 31 days, they will be terminated. That was referred to on slide 31 of the presentation. So you can take a look at that if you need further clarification. The template letters are going to be available soon, likely at the beginning of the school year, 9/1. They will be posted on the BA website for you to be able to use. And if you didn't learn anything else from this presentation, the biggest takeaway that we want to ensure that everyone understands is if an error is found, please send us a fuse regardless. So if that error is found, send us a fuse. And then at that point, our outreach and training team is going to help you, the BAs, through the process of how to proceed and what are the next steps. So if an error is found, send us a fuse. But with that being said, it looks like we will be giving back a little bit of your time for this hour. We do want to thank you for participating in today's webinar. If you have any further questions, we will keep the webinar open so you can submit those questions. And then any questions that were not addressed during today's webinar, we will work on getting back to you early next week or at some point next week via Fuse, phone, or email. But thank you so much, and we hope that you have a great sunny weekend.
Thank you all. Be safe and stay healthy out there. Again, we are going to stay on for just a little bit longer if you want to continue submitting questions in.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
could you go back to the upcoming webinar slide? Someone's asking to see the link for that. And just a reminder, that registration link is also on the BA website.
Yeah, if you go on the BA website and go to the training schedule, click on training schedule, you see all the upcoming webinars that are on there, and you should be able to register from there. I think it's on the right-hand side.
Yep.